What's up, Fantasy Junkies? Welcome to the Daily Fantasy Sweat Podcast presented by What the Lou Media. I am your host, Kris King. Popping in here for a quick summary of kind of what we've seen. We did the podcast last night. Hopefully you've got a chance to listen to that. It was out early this morning. And now it's just kind of a quick update. You got injury reports coming in here, and I don't know how many we're going to get before we sign off here, but important news that we have received is that pretty much the entire Toronto starting five will be sitting. You have Pascal Siakam, Lowry, and Van Vliet all out, and you have OG and Serge Ibaka listed as doubtful. So most likely you've got kind of a starting rotation that involves Terrence Davis, Norman Powell, Matt Thomas, most likely Boucher. You might get Boucher and RHJ in there. I don't know. I don't know really who's really going to run the four, but those are like big-time guys that you're looking at today. So that's come into play. We talked about last night how we already know that pretty much Indiana and Miami is kind of gutted today. So in building lineups today, the first area you want to start with is kind of what the information you have, and that is the guys I mentioned. You got guys on Indiana, the Holiday brothers, Doug McDermott, looking at JD, JT, TJ McConnell, those kind of fellas, possibly some Samson and some Sumner in there, some Goga. And then Malcolm Brogdon's still nothing, so I don't know if he'll play or not. If he plays and he gets, a solid minutes run, and by a solid minutes run, I mean, mid to upper 20s, hopefully he could pay off that price tag. Let's see right now what his projection is. If I could literally find anything, and if I can make this work. So he's projected to play about 25 minutes today, which would give you, hopefully a medium projection of about, he's about a point per minute guy. So about, anywhere from, if he struggles, from 20 to 30 fantasy points, and you're going to need raw points today. So you're kind of looking through, the Denver guys who we know is going to play. We're looking at the Indiana guys who are left. We are looking at the Miami guys who we know that are left. Because basically we know, their MASH unit is kind of sitting out. So, your Tyler Hero, your Kendrick Nunn. We mentioned this on the podcast last night. Kelly Olynyk is probably going to start at center. Duncan Robinson's going to be in the mix. These are core guys that I would play with. Now, keep in mind they're going to be highly owned, as well as these Toronto guys. Boucher, Norman Powell. They're going to be highly owned as well. But it gives you a nice core, to build around, and it kind of gives you the guys you want to start with. And then as news comes in throughout the day, you can certainly make adjustments to your lineups. I would get these guys in at the point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and center positions, and kind of leave on DraftKings, leave your guard forward and util spots available so you have more options later in the day. And then Harden's playing the last game of the slate. We talked about last night how he doesn't really believe in load management. He wants to play, as many minutes as possible. Will he? It's tough to say, but you got to leave that option in there to play him and also be able to pivot. So, you don't want to play so much. And the good thing here is if, on the opposite side, if he doesn't play or he sits, but Tobias Harris plays, you have still a guy in a high-end range. I don't feel like Embiid's going to play today. So if Tobias did play, you'd still have a nice pivot there in that last game. So that's sort of what we're looking at, from a build construction at this point. Raw points is going to get it done. And I think, you don't want to find too much value. Value is certainly going to... Value today is a different monster than it usually is. Value today isn't, well, I've got all this value so I can jam in a bunch of studs. Value is I have valuable minutes that guys are going to play, not really... I have valuable salary so I can pay up for studs. We really want to hit on the guys who we think are going to play today. That is really, the big time that's really what's going to get it. And I think, obviously, Harden is sort of the elephant in the room, if he plays or not. But I think a balanced build, is going to be kind of what you want to go for. So like Norman Powell, because I project him to sort of just be the leader in minutes here. I don't know if you can say the leader in minutes, but when it comes to minutes played versus skill and opportunity, he's the most skilled guy on the floor at this point. He's going to lead the offense pretty much, probably in usage. So I believe mostly in him. Now, will some guys maybe, play more than Norman Powell? Possibly. It's a possibility that maybe they yank him in the fourth, but he plays 3 solid quarters, or even, in the middle of the fourth when other guys may get full run. But I believe in his minutes versus his usage and his overall fantasy output could potentially be today. So he's somebody who I'm probably, want to get. And the variance, ranges. How much leverage do you want to build in? Because he's going to be super popular. So you could, and I don't know if his ownership, let's see if his ownership has been updated at this point. It has not. He's going to be way more than 12% owned, which is what I'm getting here. So the field's going to be high on him. So do you want to go, do you want to outweigh the field? Do you want to go would you lock a guy like Norman Powell in? Do you want to go 80%? Do you want to kind of come in, 50, 60%? Do you want to go below the field because you think he's going to be super low owned, but you think there's a chance that he may only play 18 to 20 minutes and maybe they're like, we want to rest Powell also, but we're at least going to we're going to throw him out there for a half and let him get, 16 to 20 minutes, but then we're going to yank him because he's a potential, or he's a key part of our rotation, and maybe they limit him a little bit, and then you have a leverage on the field there by going underweight. So it's a decision you have to make, but I really feel good about him overall. I'm really debating kind of having him come in somewhere between that 60 and 80 range, because it's just information that we know and we have, and we don't really have that in the last 2 games. We have information on the second game, but I just, out of, when you're looking at guys like who we know are going to get minutes, which are like your Norman Powell, like your Hero, like your Nunn, Holiday, Aaron Holiday. He's one of the guys I kind of feel best about, just about his skill and what he's able to do out there, and just how good that team is in general, how well they're managed. That has something to do with it. Their fundamentals overall as a team, I think, are pretty good because they're so good at the top. I think that there's a trickle-down effect there, and it's probably a little better than, when you talk about a team like, Miami, who may not be quite as disciplined, may not have that fundamental trickle down like you do in Toronto. So I think the ability to make the right passes and do the right things, you might get that more out of Toronto than you would in Miami. So that's kind of what we're looking at today so far. I can't really comment on any of the later games thus far. Clearly you need to leave room for Harden, and you need to leave room for, what's to come on the backside. And I just updated to see if there are any new updates, which there are not on the injury report. But I'm going to kind of go through, and I am going to add in everybody who I'm going to put in my player pool. Now, some of these guys may come out, some new guys may go in, depending on what news comes out. But right now at 11:32 a.m., I'm going to go through and kind of just create my player pool. All right, starting here with the Denver-Toronto game. This one's going to be fairly easy. We're going to start in Toronto. Norman Powell going in. Obviously, Kris Boucher, yes. Marc Gasol is not listed, so I guess he's going to start because he's not listed on the injury report. So I would assume they kind of run out something like I mentioned before, like Terrence Davis, Powell, Matt Thomas, probably Boucher and Gasol, something like that. But I doubt Gasol sees more than 20 minutes, so I don't really want any of him today. Going to put Matt Thomas in the mix, Hollis Jefferson, Terrence Davis, and then I'm kind of on the fence about Stanley Johnson. I think he's got to come in and play a little bit, but I just don't know if I trust that. So that's probably what I'm sticking to when it comes to Raptors. Did I accident? No, I did not put Gasol in there. I thought I accidentally did. I'm pretty much sticking to Powell, Boucher, Matt Thomas, Hollis Jefferson, and Terrence Davis. Kind of the guys who are going to be the starters there. Other guys could get run, but that's where I'm starting. Again, more guys could go in and out, no problem. This also makes me feel a little bit, not quite as confident in Denver because they now know that the Raptors are going to rest their guys. Doesn't mean that Denver's going to rest theirs, but certainly means that they could run them out for, maybe a quarter, maybe a half. I doubt it goes longer than a half. Why would you play guys like Jokic and who's kind of your star, and Michael Porter Jr., who's had injury history in the past, pretty major injury history that he's overcome. Jamal Murray, who's dealt with injury stuff this year. I think they're definitely going to be on a minutes limit. But that doesn't mean I don't think if they play a half and Jokic plays 25 minutes, it doesn't mean he can't put up 30, 35 fantasy points, even maybe 40 if he has a phenomenal day, considering he's playing the B team there in Toronto. So Jokic, Porter, they both go in my player pool. I'm hesitant to put Murray in there, but I'm going to at this point. I don't think I need much Millsap. I think the bigs for Denver are really good value, and we get some really good run out of them. So like Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, Bol even. We've seen what he can do when he gets minutes, so I like him as far as some of the bigs in there. And then, I think Monte Morris, could be an asset today. Guy like PJ Dozier. That's probably where I'm stopping. I'm not putting in Millsap, and I'm leaving out Torrey Craig. And that's pretty much where I end. So I have a lot more Denver guys in the mix today because the rotation is just. We know that their starters right now are not ruled out, so they're in the mix, and then their second unit guys in there too. So I have a lot more Denver than I do Toronto, but I may adjust that heavily with news. Over on the Miami side, it's pretty cut and dry. It's Tyler Hero, Kelly Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, and let's see. At this point, we have Crowder is questionable. I think Iguodala is still questionable. Some guys here that may get overlooked, and these are the guys that you might need as your tournament pivots because of the fact that really their only big right now is Kelly Olynyk. And, they can't play Crowder at the 5. If he sits, he's questionable at the moment, but you're going to kind of get a mixture as far as that backup unit of bigs between Derrick Jones Jr., who's also questionable. You have Solomon Hill kind of in the mix, who I don't think he's played. Just checking. He's played in spurts in the bubble. He has gotten into what looks like 3 games. His max game was against OKC on the 12th, and he played 24 minutes and got 19 fantasy points. So just with what they're dealing with, I think he might get some run today. And then Chris Silva is another guy who you could kind of throw in the mix. Good fantasy point per minute guy. He really hasn't played much in the bubble, but he did get in that same game on the 12th against OKC, got 13 minutes and put up 15 fantasy points. So he kind of makes the list today as well. Myers Leonard might get some run too as a big there. He, again, same game, OKC. He got minutes there. He played 17 minutes, put up 10 fantasy points. So he goes in there too. I'm clearly making groups where I only play one of those out of every lineup. And I don't know that I'm going to have a ton of exposure to them at all. I'm really going to limit my Miami to exposure to most of those guards and like Duncan Robinson and whatnot. So that is my Miami exposure. I have Hero, Olynyk, Robinson, Nunn, Solomon Hill, Chris Silva, Myers, Leonard. Let's move on to Indiana. Trying to keep this short. Going to try to run through this as fast as possible. Don't want to take up too much time. So right now, Brogdon is, he's not questionable. If he gets that 25 minutes, I think he could definitely do something with that. So let's put Brogdon in along with Aaron Holiday, Justin Holiday, T.J. McConnell, McDermott, Sam's. It's not either of those. It's Jakar. We'll call him Jakar. And I'm going to put in Sumner. I don't really know if I want Goga today. I just don't know if him against Kelly Olynyk is going to be something that is appealing to me, so I don't know where his minutes land. So I'm going to keep him out at this point. That doesn't mean he might not go in later. And I'm just going to move on. I'm not going to review anything because I want to wrap this up pretty soon. Over on the OKC Clippers game, on the OKC side, you do have Chris Paul, who is out. I think you have questionable tags. Let me double check with Steven Adams. Let's just check it out. Chris Paul, yeah, and obviously Schroeder is out. Dort is out for today. And I don't see any questionable tags anywhere else. So we'll go with that info. I don't think Steven Adams plays a lot. I think this is a kind of a situation where this could be an up-paced game, and I can see the starters getting pulled on OKC pretty fast. And then I like these guys like, Basley, who's been playing well, so I'll put him in my player pool for sure. Based on what we've seen, Shea will go in. Hopefully he gets minutes and can produce with those. I'm just not interested in Steven Adams based on, the minutes. Maybe they only give him like 15. I'm not sure. I could certainly see, Gallo sitting today last minute. I'll put him in the player pool, but he may come out. Diallo is somebody who I like and I think could see, a targeted, a higher concentration of minutes. So I'm going to put him in. And that's pretty much it for OKC at this point. The Clippers, I mean, Kawhi and Paul George could provide a lot of raw fantasy points. So at this point, they're both going in. Pretty much everyone who you would normally play on the Clippers, as well as a few of their bench guys are going in. So PG, Kawhi, Zubac, Lou Williams, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, and then I like, JaMychal Green and Patrick Patterson to kind of carry out the bigs, the role for the bigs there at the end of the game when all the starters come out. Rodney Gruder, I think, gets some run, and that's pretty much where I'm going to end it there. Over on Philly, I don't think Embiid plays, so I'm not even going. And if he does, it can't be much run at all. So, yeah, I just won't be including him in my player pool at this point. Again, that could change if something comes out and says Embiid's going to get. I don't see why. Like, why in the world would you play him? He's been fragile in the past. That's just not a smart move at this point, especially with Ben Simmons out. I'm going to put in Tobias Harris, Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Shake Milton, Alec Burks. I think guys like Mike Scott could really pay off today. I don't even see Kyle O'Quinn in here, which is kind of strange. But he would be in my player pool if he pops up in here. And then I might go Korkmaz and then Raul Neto. And even Norville Pell could get some run. At this point, I'm going to keep Pell out of the mix. But Raul Neto, we saw him have a really good game last time out when all the scrubs were sort of in there. So he was sort of leading the charge. So that is my Philly exposure. And over on Houston, I'm going to get a lot of these guys because I think if Harden gets pulled or only plays a quarter or a half or doesn't play at all. You obviously have to put James Harden and Covington there for raw points. And then even like House has been getting some pretty serious minutes. But if Covington and Harden don't play, you got guys like House and McLemore and Austin Rivers could get some major run. Not playing PJ Tucker, just not interested there. Jeff Green, I'm like so on, but still going to put him in the player pool. And then I think maybe they want to get Eric Gordon going, so I'm okay putting him in the mix. And that's pretty much it. There's 55 players on my player pool for a 4-game slate, which is kind of a lot. I'd like kind of narrow that down to maybe 45, and I think I'll be able to do that once more news comes out before we get out of here. Let's just refresh, see if anything else has come in. I don't see anything. That's good. I want to keep this podcast nice and tight. It's under 20 minutes at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and jump off here. That's kind of what we're dealing with now. Just be available. Be available to make swaps. Don't play too many lineups if you're going to be out and about. Be near a computer if you have to make like mass swaps. Use, CSV, or even use if you're not a person who uses spreadsheets to enter lineups. At least use the mass player swap tool. But if you are going to be out and you can only make changes on your phone, don't have too many lineups where you can't do that. So just make sure, because you'll run dead really fast if that happens to you. So good luck today in all your contests, and until we meet again, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and may all your wild ass final day of the NBA regular season GPP dreams come true.